Welcome back, everyone. So today's video is going to be a little interesting. I wanted to do a retro video because I love the retro format. I'm a little bit of an older player. There's a whole bunch of new things that old school UVS gets that newer UVS doesn't. And I also wanted to do a deck for one of my favorite MHA characters, who I just haven't figured out how to play in the current format as it is, sadly. But then, when I started delving into this character and what they could do in retro, I had a dilemma on my hands. I could not figure out which symbol I wanted to play this character on. So I've decided to break this down into a three-part series called Doing It Old School. On second thought, we're not going to really name it. But, so we're just going to scratch that. But the character is Gentle Criminal. And this is one of my favorite characters from the show. This is one of my favorite characters from Jetburn. Probably my top favorite character from Jetburn. So this is the first symbol we're going to be doing for him. This is the Void symbol deck. Also, if you noticed, the thumbnail isn't just a picture of me looking stupid anymore. Special thanks to Keith from my local group, who showed me a website that can help me make YouTube thumbnails real easily, even for someone as not good with creative technology as I am. So, special shout out to Keith. You are the man. Man, thank you so much for helping me out with this. But without any further ado, let's get into Gentle Criminal. He is a 6-hand size, 28 health character with Chaos, Order, and Void for his symbols, and we're going off of the Void symbol for this character. And he's got two responses. First, after an attack is blocked, your next check to play an attack or a block gets plus X. X equals the printed block modifier of the block. So if you play an attack and your opponent plays a block with a +2 block modifier, and the block is successful, your next check to play an attack or a block gets +2. And he has another response. After you play an attack, if the check to play that attack was modified, it gets plus X speed. X equals the amount it was modified by. So you play an attack, it gets blocked by a +2 block, let's say. Your next check gets +2. You play another attack, and then that attack will get +2 speed. So he can really ramp up a lot of hard-to-block attacks, and then on defense, he can chain block really well, and he doesn't quite get punished as much for playing higher block modifiers like +3s and +4s, because after that initial one, your next check to block gets +3, +4, whatever it is. And the reason I wanted to look into retro for this character, and why I think he could be an absolute menace, is because of a keyword in retro called reversal. Now what this is attacks will have this keyword ability, and it's a response that activates in your hand after you successfully block an attack. And it's response, hand, after you successfully block an attack, reveal this card, and you may play it basically as the next card played that turn. So you get to attack your opponent on their turn. They attack, you block, after your check is successful to block that attack, and that blocked attack resolves, play this reversal into your card pool from your hand. You'll obviously make a check in order to play the attack. Then you get to attack your opponent on their turn. You get your enhanced steps, block steps, all that. Why he's really crazy is you can block with like a +3 block. Your next check to play an attack or a block gets +3, so your check to play the reversal gets +3. And then, since you played an attack, it then gets 3 speed, so you're making very fast, hard-to-deal-with attacks on your opponent's turn. And I just think this is really, really, really fun. So let's get into this while we can. The first attack is one of these reversals. It is Cannonball Lifter. This is a Cervantes from Soul Calibur 6 attack. It is a 5 difficulty, 6 mid for 4, with a +3 low block. And I'll try to pay more of attention to the blocks on this video, because they are so important to what Gentle wants to do. So it's a +3 low block, so if you block with this card, your next check's going to get +3. And it's got reversal and weapon. It has 2 enhances. The first says opponent's turn, so you can only use this ability as a reversal. your attacks get +2 damage until the end of your next turn. So that means this becomes a 6 mid 6, likely more than a 6 mid because Gentle is going to be giving it speed because you blocked. And then all of your attacks, your reversals for that turn, and every attack you play on your next turn all start with an additional +2 damage. And you notice that Gentle does a lot with speed. He kind of struggles to find the damage in some ways. But with this, all of your attacks get an additional +2 damage on top of the speed bonus that Gentle's going to be giving them. I think that's really, really dangerous. And a 6 mid on your opponent's turn is already going to be hard for them to deal with, because if they want to block it, they have to block with that progressive difficulty of their card that they had in the card pool. So you're just really trying to twist them all up on this one. And then Enhance, your opponent loses 2 health. Your opponent may destroy 1 foundation to cancel this effect. 9 times out of 10, they will choose to destroy a committed foundation. But hey, if they don't, they auto lose 2 health. If they do, they lose a resource going into their next turn. So all in all, for a common attack, this is really, really strong. Next up we have Charnel Blast, or Carnal Blast, I should say. 4 difficulty, 5 mid for 4, with EX2, ranged and reversal. So not only is this a reversal that can be played on your opponent's turn, it also has EX2, so if you have momentum, you can make it even faster. This, however, does not have a block on it, and you will see some attacks in here, some cards in here, that do not have blocks. That's just kind of how they printed some cards back in the day. But this also has 2 enhances, the first of which is the only one we're really going to worry about, which is Enhance. Your opponent discards 1 card, only playable if you have been dealt damage this turn. So if you partial block an attack and then play this as a reversal, your opponent automatically loses a card out of their hand. And the second enhance is reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card shares a name with your starting character, add it to your staging area. So this is back when you were allowed to stack multiple characters of the same name but different version, kind of like how you have All Mights 1 through 7. If you played this under All with All Might, and say you're All Might 3, and you reveal the top card of your deck and it's an All Might 6, you'd be able to add it to your stage when they allowed character stacking, which they do in Retro. I guess this would allow you to peek at the top card of your deck to see what your next check's going to be, so that's not too bad, but you're mainly playing it for the reversal and for the ability to discard a card on your opponent's turn. Next up, we have Bile's Lunges. Another Cervantes attack. It is a 4 difficulty, 4 mid for 4 with a +3 mid block. It has Reversal, Safe, which is a keyword ability that is a static that says if your opponent even if your opponent blocks this attack, they are not allowed to play a reversal in response to blocking this attack. That was the main way to get around reversals, is the Safe keyword. If the blocked attack has Safe, a reversal cannot be played after that card, or in response to blocking that card. This also has the Throw keyword, so even if your opponent half blocks this attack, it's going to deal half damage. Or fully blocks this attack, it's going to deal half damage, excuse me. And it has 2 enhances. The first is discard 1 card, your opponent loses 2 health. Just pitch a card, you lose 2 health. Your opponent may discard 1 card to cancel this effect. And this also can kill your opponent, just like Cannonball Lifter. These abilities can reduce your opponent to 0, so that would make them want to pay the cost to cancel a lot better if they're much lower, and with as fast as you're making these reversals, they're gonna be pretty low pretty quick. And then Enhance, discard 1 momentum, ready 1 asset. I'm not playing any assets in this deck, but if you wanted to play, say, like La Brava, or any of the other Void assets that are pretty good, you could definitely do that if you wanted to. Next up we have Gently Theft, which is Gentle Criminal Zone Ultra, a 5 difficulty, 4 mid for 8, with a +2 mid block. It has got the Flash keyword ability, so no enhanced steps played, or no enhances played during this attack. And it's got Response, discard a momentum. After you play this attack, your rival discards a card. So if you're wasting all their resources on their turn, making them block and such like that, this gets another card out of their hand so that you can guarantee push this 8 damage through. And then Deadlock Response, after you play this card, your rival removes a card from their hand. So not even just a discard, they just lose that card entirely. Pretty good. It's a good, solid 8 damage move that makes your opponent want to deal with it. So then you can use Gentle Criminal's ability to give your next check to play an attack plus to the check, and then plus speed after that. Then we have Gently Trampoline. This is just a perfect card for Gentle. It's a 4 difficulty, 2 low for 4, with a +1 low block. Pretty easy to block, being a 2 speed, and your opponent is really going to want to block this because it says, Enhance, if this attack is blocked, you draw a card. So you think your opponent doesn't want to block that, they want to let this through, take that little 4 damage. But Gentle Criminal Enhance, if this attack deals damage, draw 2 cards. So not only if they have to full block this, or else between these two enhances, you're drawing 3 extra cards if they don't completely block this attack. So if they don't have a low block, they're probably just going to take the 4 and let you draw 2 as opposed to draw 3. But all in all, really good. Now we have Null Vortex. I added this card because I just thought it was pretty silly. It is a 4 difficulty, +0 mid block, 0 mid for 8. It is also a 1 control. Not great. But it has a static that says if this attack deals damage, you may add it to your momentum face up during your end phase. And it has Enhance, remove this card from the game. Your opponent must discard 3 cards. This ability may not be cancelled by card effects, only playable during your turn and while this card is face up in your momentum. I'd probably knock this down to a 1 of... In fact, let's do that right here. Knock that down to a 1 of, maybe knock Gently Trampoline up to a 4 of. Just as like a quirky, cheeky little, I'm going to force you to deal with this 8 damage move, and if for some reason it does deal damage, like maybe you throw this at the end of your string, your opponent's tapped out, you give it speed with Gentle Criminal, and it does connect and deal damage, cool. If your opponent goes into your turn with 3 cards, you can just remove this card from your momentum, and your opponent loses all 3 cards in their hand, and you just go in for the kill. I just thought it was really funny. This is from, I believe, the Red Horizon promos, where they had 1 promo for each symbol as a solo symbol card. And I just really thought this was kind of funny as just a little goof to throw in there. And lastly, we have Berserker Bite, a Hood card, which is a 4 difficulty, 2 high for 3, with a +3 mid block. It's a throw, so if it deals damage, even if it's blocked, it's going to deal damage. With response, flip 1 foundation. After you play this card, all cards get +1 difficulty for the rest of this turn. If it is your turn, this card does not count towards progressive difficulty. This is mainly in here to block. You're going to block with a +3, succeed in your block. Your next check to block gets +3, and you're going to effectively breaker 1 all of your opponent's cards, because this is going to add 1 difficulty to every card your opponent plays, attacks, foundations, and otherwise. So you're getting +3 to your next check, and you're forcing all of their cards to become more difficult for the rest of the turn. Very solid defensive piece in Gentle Criminal on the Void symbol. Moving on to actions. We've got 4 Lover Mode, which is a 3 difficulty, 5 control with a +2 low block. This action says if your character is Gentle Criminal, this card does not count towards progressive difficulty. This is both on offense and defense. Mainly you're going to want to do it for offense, because it says Form, discard 1 card, draw 2 cards. Pretty good, pretty self-explanatory. It also has First Enhance, Card Pool, so you can use this as your First Enhance on each attack as long as this card's in your card pool. If you have at least 2 momentum, this attack gets -1 speed or +2 damage. So imagine you block with a Lover Mode, reversal into your Cannonball Lifter. This becomes a 6 mid for 8. If you have 2 momentum, your First Enhance is Lover Mode for 2 damage, and then Cannonball Lifter gives all your attacks 2 damage. So if you have Cannonball Lifter as your reversal, all your attacks get 2 damage, and then on your turn, you Lover Mode, all of your attacks are going to get +4 damage for the entire turn. That makes it really hard for your opponent to deal with, especially if you're making your moves really, really fast, and throwing your opponent's reversals is going to make them really want to deal with stuff on their turn or take massive damage. Then it has a villain response. After you block with this card, your rival adds 1 face-up foundation to their hand. It's a +2 low block, which is pretty good. and you force your opponent to debuild 1. And then you can use this first enhance on their turn to give their attacks -1 speed as long as you have 2 momentum. Pretty good. Not as good defensively as Barrier Shield, though, let's be honest. +2 difficulty, 5 control with a +2 high block. It itself does not count towards progressive difficulty. You're not going to normally worry about that. You're mainly playing it for the enhance. Remove this card, reduce your opponent this attack speed to 0. The next card you play this turn gains Breaker 2. So you reduce their speed to 0, so you can block with a heavy difficulty block, like a +3 or a +4, to get that +3 or +4 to your next check, and you give your card Breaker 2, which makes their next check to play a card get -2. So, really, really powerful card here. And then I've got a couple of plus ultras. It's a 2 difficulty, 5 control with a +5 mid block. Mainly because it says, when attempting to block with this card, reduce the speed of your rival's attack to 0. So you block with plus ultra, reduce their speed to 0, check your 5, or maybe your 6 if this is your second attack, or second block. Your next check to play a card with Gentle Criminal gets +5. And if that's spent on a reversal, like a Cannonball Lifter or a Carnal Blast, that card gets +5 damage. That's insane. Making Cannonball Lifter an 11 speed 6 to start with is ridiculous. And you're just guaranteeing damage at that point. So Plus Ultra is a really funny card. Or if you don't have a reversal and you're just trying to chain block, you can guarantee pass all of your checks to block. Right, moving on to Foundations. We have Elasticity, a 2 difficulty, 5 control with a +3 high block. Response flip after an attack is blocked. The next attack this turn, so this includes your reversal, gets +3 or -3 damage. So if you're planning on reversing, you can play Plus Ultra to block, flip with Elasticity. The next attack this turn gets +3, reversal. So Cannonball Lifter can become an 11 mid 7 with its own ability, 11 mid 9. Really tough to deal with something like that coming out of nowhere. And it also has some good anti-stun, response flip after your rival plays a stun ability, cancel its effects, add the top card of your deck to your momentum, which is pretty good, especially when you have cards like Lover Mode that want you to have multiple momentum. Gently Theft can cost momentum. You have the EX on Carnal Blast, which is really good. So really, really good way to generate momentum if your opponent's planning on stunning you out. Then we've got Creeped Out. Enhanced Commit is a 1 difficulty, 5 control, +3 mid block. Enhanced Commit, your check to block this attack gets +2. If we're wanting to make sure that our blocks succeed so that we can get plus to the next check to block, this is a really good way to do it. And then response flip after a breaker ability is played, it gets -1 to the rating. Now, this is mainly to keep your strings going, because you are going to get plus to your checks to block, so breaker isn't going to hurt you too much. But in the case that your opponent only blocks with like a +1 mid or something, and then breaker 2s you, like say they use their own barrier shield, this is going to make sure that you can kind of balance that out a little bit more. And I see I walked right over Internet Sensation, my bad. This is a 1 difficulty, 4 control, +2 low block. With response after you play an attack, if you did not commit any foundations to pass that check, that attack gets +1 damage. So you can stack a whole bunch of damage onto any of these reversals by passing the check to play them after getting bonuses from your blocks, like Plus Ultra, or blocking with like a +4 or a +3. So you get the bonus to your check, and you play a reversal. You don't have to pass any commit cards to pass the check. You give your cards even more damage. And then Deadlock Enhance, your next check to play an attack gets +1. So your opponent doesn't want to go into Deadlock against this card, because all of your checks are going to get bonuses, which means you're going to pass easier, which means they're all going to get more damage. And it can really just snowball out of control from there. Talked about Creeped Out. Moving on to Saving Bakugo as 0 difficulty, 5 control, +3 mid block. You'll notice a lot of these foundations kind of have bad blocks, but when you're utilizing a lot of speed control to make sure that the bad blocks don't matter, and then you get bonuses for playing bad blocks, I figure it doesn't hurt to have some 3s and some possibly more than 3s in your block modifiers here. And it says, response, flip after one of your foundations is flipped due to a rival effect, unflip it and draw a card. Some of these foundations you'll see your opponent really won't want you to keep around for too long, so if they target it down to flip it, you can just unflip it and draw a card for your trouble. I've got a Can't Escape Me, a 2 difficulty 3+3 mid block modifier with 5 control. Response, destroy after your rival plays an ability on a non-character card that adds any number of cards to their hand, cancel it. Really strong, there's a lot of drawing and adding to hand in Retro, so it's really good to make sure you have some of those gates locked up. And then Deadlock Enhance Commit, your attack gets +1 speed for each committed rival foundation. The more you're boosting your speed, the more assets they're going to have, or foundations they're going to have to commit to pass their checks, to block, and if they're in Deadlock, you can just boost one big speed boost onto an attack like, say, Null Vortex. So if your opponent's in Deadlock and they have 7 committed foundations, Null Vortex gains 7 speed, on top of maybe whatever it got from Gentle Criminal. So really good at pushing those last-minute, late-ditch damages through. Then we've got Training with Gunhead, a 1 difficulty, 5 control, +3 low block. It says, enhance, if the check to play this attack was modified by an effect, this attack gets +1 speed. So Gentle Criminal is almost always going to be boosting the check to play your cards, as long as your opponent's blocking, or on your reversals, as long as you've blocked, which you have to block to play a reversal, except in 1 or 2 cases. If the check was modified, which it usually is, your attack's going to get extra speed, and then enhance remove, reduce the damage of this throw attack to 2. Good throw hate, and just, again, pushing those attacks through on your opponent's turn to make sure that you can really chip down the damage on them. Then we've got Shell of a Proud Man, another Cervantes. This is from the Cervantes DLC. 2 difficulty, 5 control, +2 mid-block. Look at the little stylized numbers there, I really like that. Are the other ones original? No, okay. Only the DLC ones were very stylized. But it has 2 responses. The first is response, commit 1 foundation. After your attack is not blocked, your opponent loses 2 health. This can kill your opponent, so if you're making your attacks really insanely fast, especially reversals on their turn, you can just commit a foundation, your opponent loses 2 health additionally, and this can reduce them to 0. And then response flip, after an attack is played, it loses all keywords. So if your opponent's got a flash attack, a throw attack, any keyword that you don't want it to have, if they're going to be comboing, or they have a lot of foundations that deal with a specific keyword type, you can just make sure they lose all that, don't have to worry about it. But it's mainly here for the additional unblockable damage of that lose 2. Then we've got Voice of Reason, a 0 difficulty, 5 control, +2 mid-block from the Yu Yu Hakusho series, which I really hope they bring this back as one of the time-shifted cards, because this is a really good card. Enhance, once per turn, both players discard 1 card and draw 1 card. And since there is no cost to that, if you have no cards in hand, you just draw a card. You get a free card. This card was everywhere for the longest time until a card called... I don't remember the card, but it was a Talim card that just obliterated this card, because it said if it left your hand due to your rival's effect, you add 2 of their foundations to their card pool. Really ridiculous. So that's when it kind of dropped off, because your opponent could just, oh, I'm going to pitch this, you're going to debuild 2, have fun. But with Gentle Criminal, you're going to want to cycle some stuff out of your hand if you have like a non-block, and you just want to make sure you can block stuff. That's really helpful, and it's always just good to cycle cards if you don't need them. Next we have Wearlight. Excuse me. Wearlight's fun. It's from my favorite 7th Cross character, Eugenia, who is a Cheshire Cat were-cat person. It's a 2 difficulty, 5 control, with a +3 high block. It says enhance, flip, choose one enhance ability printed on one of your opponent's foundations. Your opponent must play the chosen ability as their next enhance or pass. What's dangerous about this is it's kind of like force quirk activation, only instead of the foundation being destroyed, you can force your opponent to end the enhance step, basically. Because you flip, choose an ability on a committed foundation that's not tenacious or playable while committed. Since they can't activate it, they have to pass, you pass, go straight to block. So it's a great way to kind of close the gate on your opponent's enhance abilities. If you don't have as much defensive enhances, you can just flip this and choose them to shut down one attack, basically. Or you can shut down your own attacks if need be. I mainly play this on defense. And then enhance your attack, commit, discard one card from your opponent's card pool. You're not going to be using this enhance at all. But it is still, I'm sure it's got its niches. But it's mainly there for that top enhance to basically help end the enhance step faster. I've got Uniting Rebels next, a 0 difficulty 6 control with a +3 mid block. Oh, and Wearlight has a +3 high block, if I didn't mention that. This says Desperation Enhance, so you can only use this enhance if you are at less than half of your printed health. So for Gentle Criminal, I have to be at least 13 health to use United Rebels Enhance. Once per turn, gain 1 health. So it's good for kind of keeping yourself alive. It's a 6 check, it's a +3 mid block. It's kind of everything we would want in a more defensive card piece. Next up we have Fei Fei. Some of you will recognize this a little bit as Fast Friends, I think is the new card from the Bebop Challenger series. It is a 1 difficulty, 5 control, +3 low block. This is enhanced flip, this attack gets -3 speed. Low block, really good speed hate, just kind of everything Gentle Criminal wants on 2 of his symbols, so maybe you'll see this coming up in the order set, spoilers. Next we have Esoteric Yoga, a 3 difficulty 6 control with a +2 high block. It is unique, so you're only allowed to have 1 in your staging area at a time. It says response commit. After your opponent adds any number of cards to their hand due to their effect, they discard a card. So kind of like Can't Escape Me, except instead of just canceling the ability, they have to discard the card, or discard a card. And then enhance destroy. This attack gets -4 speed, playable while committed. Again, good speed hate, 6 check, decent block, kind of everything we want in a defensive foundation. Next up we have A Girl Like Any Other, a 1 difficulty 5 control +3 mid block. Enhanced commit, this attack gets -3 speed, got a little tongue-tied for a second there, to a minimum of 0. Again, good speed hate, good block, for our purposes anyway, really solid card to have. Next up we have Pass Through Walls, a 2 difficulty 6 control with a +3 high block. Response, flip, after your opponent plays a breaker ability, cancel it. So again, making sure that your boosts are not being cut down by your opponent's breaker. Or response, flip, after your rival plays an ability on an asset, cancel it. There are a lot of insane assets in Retro, so you really need to watch out for stuff like that. So, 6 check, +3 high block, good defensive abilities, really, really solid. I've got a Spooky. Sorry, I know that's kind of weird to do, but seeing it spelled out like that, my brain does the little wavelength thing, and I can never stop myself from doing it. 2 difficulty, 5 control, +3 high block, unique foundation. It says enhance, commit, switch the speed and damage of your rival's attack. So if they've got a bunch of speed and not a lot of damage, you can make it really blockable. Or if they have very little speed and a lot of damage, you can just make it a very fast, weak attack that you can just take on the chin real easily. And lastly, Hell Guardian, a 2 difficulty 5 control +2 high block from the Valdo's kit of the DLC for Soul Calibur 6. First form flip. Cards cannot leave your staging area due to your rival's effects for the rest of this turn. There were a lot of characters that could debuild pretty hard. You think Mineta 1 was bad? Or, I'm sorry, Mineta 2? You think Mineta 2 was bad? Y'all should see what Jedha 2 was doing around the time I went to Worlds with Akuma 2. Jedha 2 was insane, and there's a reason he was banned. But this is mainly for characters like that. But I really like the Enhance Commit. If the check to play this attack was modified, this attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage. So, if your checks to play your reversals were modified, which they usually are going to be, +2 speed, +2 damage. If they were played on your normal attacks, +2 speed, +2 damage. And you can play reversals during your attack, or your turn. You can just play them as regular attacks. It's just really fun to play them on your opponent's turn when they're getting the extra speed from Gentle Criminal as well. But yeah, if the check to play this attack was modified, it gets +2 speed and +2 damage. Now, since they changed Breaker to, instead of increasing the difficulty of the next card played, to reducing the check of the next card played, this even works if you're breakered. So, you play it, your opponent Breaker 2s you play an attack, and you pass the check through the Breaker 2, because your check got -2, that counts as a modification. Your attack gets 2 speed and 2 damage because your opponent breakered you. Or your opponent, blocked with Gentle Criminal Enhance, you make the check easier, or you boost your check, and the Hell Guardian gives you additional stats on top of that. So a really good, just pushing more stats onto your attacks that are already going to be really fast and hard to deal with. But yeah, this is the first of 3 Gentle Criminal reversal style decks I wanted to build. I'm going to build one for each symbol, because honestly, I was just going through reversals on these symbols and I couldn't pick. So I thought, why split the baby? Why not just have 3 Gentle Criminal decks, one off for each symbol, all focused on what different styles of reversals you can play. This one plays a lot of reversals that either discard cards from my opponent's hand, burn my opponent, make them destroy foundations, things that make them make choices, while being incredibly fast, and some of them even setting up more damage for future turns. I've got some stuff in the works for Order and Chaos. Especially Chaos is going to be really, really funny, because there's a very special Chaos reversal that I just cannot wait to put into this deck. So look forward to those coming out. I'm not going to do all of these back to back to back. I want to sprinkle them in, so maybe every other video until they're done. But yeah, this was the first of my Gentle Criminal retro trio. What do you guys think? Those of you who have only been playing with my hero, what do you think of the reversal style of play? Being able to attack your opponent on their turn. It's nasty, right? It's really, really fun. But yeah, if you like deck design content, and other basically deck profiles kind of things, feel free to subscribe. I recently looked over the analytics of my channel because I didn't know that was a thing, and more than 50% of the people who watch aren't subscribed, so please, I could really use the support. If you like this deck, go ahead and give it a like, and go ahead and comment down below what you think of reversals as a style. Do you think these are going to be coming back with Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament? We've seen from their from the preview little teaser that they gave, I think it was yesterday, not to date this video, but Friday on the 19th they said that there would be returning mechanics. We've already seen Safe printed on a attack that's being time shifted up into Dark Tournament from the original Yu Yu Hakusho set. Do you think reversals are coming back? Because like I said, Safe was your main way to defend against reversals. So yeah, another reason to build these decks, to kind of show what reversals can do and maybe prepare you guys for defending yourselves against it. It's a really powerful responsibility. It's another thing I should mention. Reversal is a response ability. So any of your abilities that cancel responses will cancel reversal. Good to keep in mind. But yeah, feel free to comment down below what you think of the deck, what you think of Gentle Criminal, what you think of reversals, and I will talk to you guys later. Until then, take care.